So what I want to do today is I want to water my Hoya Pubicalyx. This particular plant is in a very, very well draining soil, like to the point where I discovered that if I top water this plant, I get very poor results. I had it for a couple of weeks. I was watering it top water, and I noticed that it looked very thirsty, like the leaves were not doing well. So I have a bucket. It's a relatively small bucket, and I'll go ahead and fill that up part way. And then I'll get my Hoya and I'll bring it down from the shelf that it was on, and I will put it in this pot. Now I have put maybe a little too much water in it, but it's enough that it will kind of float. And what it'll do is it'll soak up that water that's in the bucket. I'll leave it in there for maybe, a few minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, as long as I feel like, usually while I'm doing other things, just so it can soak up water into that root ball, and then I'll put it back where it was. But the whole point of that is this plant, since I've been bottom watering it, stays really glossy. I do this once a week. It makes sure that the root ball is nice and soaked before I put it back. And then it's in a terracotta pot with almost like orchid type bark and pretty much nothing else. And then I'll let it go. And what I've seen is, since I've had this plant, it came to me with a very long vine. It sprouted another vine and another vine and another vine. So it's really happy with what's going on. And so I think eventually I might get some flowers out of it, which would be really exciting. So this, I think, is an example of a plant that I didn't really love. But I wanted a Hoya because so many people online have Hoyas and they absolutely love their Hoyas. So I was like, I want to get on the Hoya train. And when I went to the store, they had a very big Hoya, and it was on a bamboo kind of hoop, which, at the time that I bought it, I was like, it doesn't like that bamboo hoop. We'll get rid of it. But maybe I should have kept it. So later I bought a trellis to kind of help me with the vines. I don't think the trellis is big enough, but it at least gives it a little bit of structure. And then this plant over time, as I've watched it, has really grown on me, no pun intended. The new leaves are this really interesting color. The vines just keep sprouting, which one of the things that I've discovered is that when a plant shows you that it's happy, you start to look at it in a slightly different way than you did when you first got it. So, I was like, why did I buy this? These leaves are kind of blah. Look at all these weird shapes. I don't understand what's going on. And then I was like, oh, look at this gorgeous leaf. This is a happy plant. I think I might be happy with it as well. I hope you enjoyed the look at how I water my Hoya. Okay, so people who love plants have a tendency to fall in love with certain kinds of plants. And so I went down the rabbit hole of Hoya. And I don't know about Hoya, and I don't know what I'm going to think about Hoya, but I bought this Hoya, and I'm not in love with it. But the new leaves come in this amazing bronzy color, kind of a dark, almost black color, and they're very, very fascinating. And it throws out vines, and the vines reach out all over the place. These vines go where they want to go. And I bought it a trellis to climb, and we'll see. I figured out the watering situation with the soak and dry method, and I gave it a bit of a trellis to grow on, which, we see, it's not enough. It's just really not enough. And I have to figure out what I'm going to do in the future. But otherwise, the plant looks amazing. And it went from being something I would consider kind of blah to something that I just can't wait to see what it does next. It's quick. It's growing and changing very quickly, which is such a neat thing with plants. When you're used to succulents that don't really change much over even the course of a year, and then within the span of a few months, you have this plant that went from, oh my God, get me out of Home Depot, to, wow, this is a really interesting place to live. It's great. It's amazing to see. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for joining and have a good day.